Have you ever wondered about the story behind the name Lucifer? We often hear it and immediately think of the ultimate villain, the source of all evil. But what if I told you there's a much deeper, more complex story, a secret hidden in plain sight within ancient texts and translations? Today, we're going on a journey to uncover the untold secret of Lucifer. This isn't about promoting any single belief, but about exploring history, language, and the evolution of an idea that has shaped our culture for centuries. So, let's start with the name itself, Lucifer. What does it actually mean? In its original Latin, Lucifer literally translates to light bringer or morning star. It's a combination of lux, meaning light, and fair, meaning to bring or to carry. Before it became the name of a fallen angel, it was simply the Roman name for the planet Venus, the bright star that appears in the sky just before sunrise. Isn't that fascinating? The name that we associate with darkness originally meant the bringer of light? So, how did this beautiful, poetic name become synonymous with evil? To answer that, we need to travel back to the Old Testament, specifically to the book of Isaiah, chapter 14. This chapter contains a prophecy against a tyrannical Babylonian king. The prophet uses a powerful metaphor to describe the king's downfall. He says, "How you have fallen from heaven, O morning star, son of the dawn." In the original Hebrew, the term used is Helel ben Shahar, which means shining one, son of the dawn. Again, this is a clear reference to the planet Venus, the morning star. The prophet was using this imagery to mock the king's arrogance. He was saying, "You thought you were a god among the stars, but look at you now, brought down to the dust." The passage was a political critique, a poetic taunt aimed at a human ruler, not a description of a celestial being falling from grace. The major turning point came much later, when the Old Testament was translated from Hebrew into Latin by St. Jerome in the 4th century. He needed a word for Helel ben Shahar. He chose the Latin word Lucifer, the common term for the morning star. At the time, this was a perfectly accurate and neutral translation. It simply meant morning star. The problem began when later Christian theologians and writers, like Tertullian and Origen, started reinterpreting this passage. They began to connect Isaiah's fallen Lucifer with the rebellious angel mentioned in other parts of Scripture, particularly in the New Testament book of Revelation, which describes a war in heaven where the great dragon, that ancient serpent called the devil, is cast down to earth. Slowly but surely, the poetic metaphor from Isaiah was detached from its original context, the fall of a Babylonian king, and was grafted onto the story of a fallen angel. Lucifer, the light bringer, became Lucifer, the proud angel who defied God and was cast out of heaven. The name's original meaning was lost, overshadowed by this new, much darker narrative. By the time John Milton wrote his epic poem Paradise Lost in the 17th century, the transformation was complete. Milton's powerful and charismatic portrayal of Lucifer as the tragic, rebellious hero cemented this image in the Western cultural imagination forever. His Lucifer is complex, articulate, and driven by pride, famously declaring, "Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven." This character became the definitive version of Lucifer for millions. Even though it was a work of literary fiction building on centuries of theological interpretation. So, what is the untold secret of Lucifer? It's that the name was never intended to be the proper name of the devil. It was a descriptive title for a planet, a poetic metaphor for a fallen king, and a victim of a centuries-long game of theological and linguistic telephone. The original Lightbringer was a symbol of beauty and the dawn, a far cry from the Prince of Darkness we think of today. This journey from a celestial body to a political insult to the ultimate supervillain is a powerful example of how ideas and words can evolve, change, and take on entirely new meanings over time. The story of Lucifer is not just a story about good and evil. It is a story about the power of interpretation and the incredible journey of a single word through human history. It reminds us to always look a little deeper, to question the stories we're told, and to appreciate the complex layers hidden just beneath the surface. This exploration isn't meant to diminish anyone's faith, but to enrich our understanding of the cultural and historical streams that feed into our modern beliefs. The evolution of Lucifer from light-bringer to the adversary is a testament to the power of storytelling and how interpretations can shape reality for millions. It's a fascinating look at how a single verse, originally intended as a political taunt, could launch one of the most enduring figures in our collective mythology. It highlights the importance of context in understanding ancient texts. Without understanding the history, politics, and poetry of the time, we risk missing the original meaning entirely. The story of the Babylonian king is a powerful lesson in itself about hubris and the fall of empires, but that story has been almost completely eclipsed by the one that grew out of it. Think about it. The name Lucifer only appears once in the entire King James Bible, in that very verse in Isaiah, yet its influence is monumental. This single mention, a translation of a Hebrew phrase, has spawned countless books, paintings, movies, and theological debates. The secret, then, is that one of the most powerful concepts of evil in Western culture is built upon a misunderstanding or perhaps a reinterpretation of a poetic metaphor. The bringer of light was recast as the Prince of Darkness through a long process of translation, commentary, and creative imagination. The next time you hear the name Lucifer, perhaps you'll remember its origins, not as a name for evil, but as a name for the morning star, the beautiful light that heralds the dawn. A symbol of hope and new beginnings, which, ironically, became a symbol of the end of innocence. What a journey, right? From a simple astronomical observation to a profound theological concept. This story is a perfect example of why I love digging into the past. It is filled with surprises and shows us that things we take for granted often have complex and unexpected origins. The story of Lucifer is ultimately a human story, a story of how we use language, how we interpret symbols, and how we build vast mythologies to make sense of the world and the eternal struggle between light and shadow. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into history and language. I hope it gave you a new perspective on a familiar name. If you enjoyed this journey and want to uncover more hidden stories from the past, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure. What other historical mysteries should we explore? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.